Hello, everybody. Welcome to the first episode of Friday Night Glory Quarterback Ranch High School Football Report. I'm here with Friday Night Glory's own Terrence Johnson. What's up, Terrence?
What's going on, Randy? How you doing?
Doing good. It's football season. We also got from the Quarterback Ranch, Quincy Williams. What's going on, Quincy?
Not too much, man. Glad to be here and glad it's football season again.
Yep. We're also going to have Kenny Matthews and Peyton Peterson reporting later on. Peyton was at that Trinity Prosper game, and Kenny was at that Rockwall Cedar Hill game. So we'll get their reports later. Terrence saw one of the games everybody in the Metroplex was looking forward to. South Oak Cliff and Duncanville.
Yeah, South Oak Cliff and Duncanville was the big matchup everybody was waiting on. ESPN2 game. Packed house, I believe 10,000. Some people couldn't even get in. The lines were so long. People still trying to get there. But on to that game, it came and expected as I thought it was. Defensive battle. It was real tough in them trenches. Duncanville D-line versus Sock O-line. South Oak Cliff D-line going up against Duncanville's O-line and their running back and quarterback. But Sock struck first. Quarterback Trey Walton looked pretty paused. He had a couple of drops from his main receivers, Jamari Colley. Malik Muhammad had to actually play receiver. He's the Texas commit on the defensive side of the ball, so he had to go both ways. I'm pretty sure they'll gel as the season progresses, but South Oak Cliff came out, to let people know, hey, that's why we're champs. Everybody try to say 5A, 6A classification doesn't matter. It's just go off enrollment. They just want to prove that, hey, we can ball with the big classes as well.
You were impressed with the tight end.
Yeah, the tight end for Duncanville. He's a freshman, man. Zach Turner. He kind of opened that game up. Like I said, Sox scored first in the first quarter. They shut Duncanville out. Duncanville didn't score until the second quarter, but that was by Caden Durham, the running back for Duncanville. He had a 99-yard blast up the middle, man. When I say he runs behind his pads and runs hard, they got something special in that backfield. But on to Zach Turner is a freshman, 6'3" tight end. He only had two catches for 21 yards, but one that really counted was that TD that he grabbed it, cradled it. They couldn't see it. It was a catch, So he's young, but he's a big body.
Well, you talk to him. Tell us what we're looking at here before we go into the interview.
Well, we're just looking at a kid that seems poised, like he'd been there before. I had pleasure talking to him, and I just asked him some questions about the routes he was running. He said on one route that he had to break it off and run the fade because it's supposed to be another route, but it just show you the awareness of that kid when he's on the field. So I just look for him to be good. And, Jameer Willis, the quarterback for Duncanville, went down early on. He had 53 yards passing before then, and he threw a TD and an interception. He went down early, so we're hoping that he gets back too because they'll have to go with the latter, another quarterback who came in, Keelan Russell, I believe he was. He went 2 for 4 for like 34 yards. He threw a TD, but he also threw an interception as well.
Let's check out these interviews.
You get running plays, you get good plays going, you get a couple of passes in here. What was the halftime message like from Coach Samples to get you guys going?
He just told us to keep. He said keep applying pressure and just keep going because it's gonna open up eventually. So he just kept us to keep on going, and that's all it was.
Still early along season, but what Duncanville have to do, you think, basically to clean up the mistakes so you guys can just keep the offense going?
Really, all we gotta do is listen to the coaches because the coaches tell us every day at practice to chill, don't do too much, don't hold, keep your hands inside, don't hold, all that. So all we gotta do is listen to the coaches, and we will be straight. Yes, sir.
And what play calling was that? I noticed that you was just a freshman when I looked at the roster. It was a freshman catching a touchdown pass in a big game here to open the season here. What kind of play call was that called for your catch, for your number to be called up?
It was called rub. Choose rub.
Choose rub? So what does that exactly mean? Explain that route that you ran on that play.
I ain't supposed to run that route because the route messed up because they didn't do his thing. So I don't supposed to really run a screen and out. But I just run a fade.
So you basically just changed it to your route based on the coverage that was in, based on what you're seeing. What will you take from this game to make your next game good as well as your season?
I'll be practicing on my blocking. That's all. I'm going to be practicing on my blocking. I'm going to go to the machine, catch, because I don't want to mess up now.
All right, and I know you're real high on Zach Turner, right?
Yeah, I was pretty high on the kids, Zach Turner. Take nothing away from them. But Duncanville also got a defense that had a defensive lineman wrecking shop all night in Jabrion Peters, I believe his name is, number 55. Don't have a lot of looks right now, but he was causing havoc up against the O-line of South Oak Cliff. It seems like South Oak Cliff had a special call for Colin Simmons, the defensive end for Duncanville. I see double teams here and there coming at him, but he did end up getting a sack. It was just pressure all night. Both teams' defensive stands, Randy. When I say goal line, you know how we used to play in the 90s when we was brung up with the goal line stand? Cracking pads all night, baby. It was fun to be in the middle of that, just getting the feel of it, just hearing it. You know, it was all clean football, nothing dirty. It's just hard hitting, letting you know, hey, you want to come up in here, you're going to have to come on with it. But they stopped each other each time on the goal line. Duncanville was fortunate enough to get a safety on their end. So they got a safety, and that kind of turned the game around because at the halftime, it was 7-7. When they came back, they got their safety in the third quarter. Made it 2-0. Sock didn't score. Sock got a field goal late in the fourth, but it was too late because the quarterback, even though the quarterback went down, they was able to put 14 points up, you know, in the end of the game. That was the quarterback, Keelan Russell, who came in and made that pass to Caleb Kennedy that capped it off to the 23-10 final.
Let's move on to the second game of the night. Our guy, Kenny Matthews, he was at the Rockwall Cedar Hill game. And Kenny's out of town, but I talked to him earlier, and here's what Kenny had to say.
Well, Texas high school football started last week here, and it was so awesome to be back on the field again. And I got the privilege of being at the Jerry Jones Classic this past Saturday as Rockwall with a big 34-12 win over Cedar Hill. And man, the story of this game was the backup quarterback for Rockwall comes in for Lake Bennett, who got injured. And all he did was rush for 75 yards and 3 TDs in the first half. And then basically that pretty much dominated the game for the Yellow Jackets. He was also named the MVP of the Jerry Jones Classics, understandably. And the Yellow Jackets came in ranked number 6 in the area, showed why they were ranked number 6 with a suffocating defense against the Cedar Hill Longhorns, holding them to 55 yards total passing in the game. Now, the one bright spot for Cedar Hill was Jalen Jenkins. He's the real deal. 188 yards on only 21 carries and 2 TDs. Had a long 88-yard TD and had a 67-yard TD in this game. But Cedar Hill had a real hard time trying to move the ball and had a big drop there late in the second half that could have put them inside the 5-yard line. They had the punt, shanked the punt, and then the Yellow Jackets were able to get a field goal late in the first half that kind of sealed that game for the Yellow Jackets. Yellow Jackets had, this coming into this season, they had a lot of answers, a lot of question marks going in, especially, at the quarterback position. You go down to now your backup quarterback this situation, and he came up big as their head coach said that, man, he came in, was cool, calm, and collected. They also had Parker Williams, had a big game rushing the football for the Yellow Jackets. Yellow Jackets looked really, really, really good. I was very impressed. Cedar Hill kind of got to go to the drawing board, got to get that passing game up, and you've also got to be able to get some big chunk plays. I mean, I know they got 2 long TDs by Jenkins there, but man, most of the night, that offense was pretty stymied by the Rockwall Yellow Jackets as they come away from the Jerry Jones Classic with a big 34-12 win over Cedar Hill. Kenny Matthews.
Appreciate that, Kenny. Kenny also caught up with quarterback Mason Marshall and running back Parker Williams for Rockwall after the game. And let's listen to what they had to say then.
Come out with a big win here. I know there's things that always kind of clean up, but you got to be pretty pleased.
Yes, sir. Lake Bennett, our starter, went down, and coaches have gotten me ready, and I just felt like I knew the system and just.
How was the nerves? You have a few butterflies. Did it take, about a series or 2 to kind of get settled?
Yeah. First half, I didn't feel a thing. My adrenaline was going. But, it was great out there. It was great.
For you, I thought your offensive line played a big play in here tonight here. Opening up some holes, you get 3 first half TDs on the ground. Did that kind of settle in a little bit?
Yes, sir. It's a few new guys, and they're just so, they're all just best friends, and it's great to watch them work together.
I feel like the intensity is what helps us got into the groove. We work best when we're under pressure, and so I felt like there was a lot of pressure just from Lake getting hurt. And, we had to flip the quarterbacks. And, our scheme, we run a really good scheme. And I feel like as you just got to warm up a little bit. And as the plays go on, you progress and, we get going. And Mason made a lot of really good plays. We all made a lot of good plays. They have a really good DN. I think he might be like a 4-star maybe. I don't know. But our line, we got kick out blocks. We did what we were supposed to.
Did you guys get a chance to look at any of the highlights for Rockwall Cedar Hill?
Yeah, I seen a couple. Couple of highlights. Looked like the quarterback over there was having pretty fun field day, but they didn't really pass too much. It was like ground running, ground and pound. 3 TDs rushing on the ground from I seen from the backfield.
Yeah, I didn't really get to catch much of it myself, so I'm gonna have to really lean on what Terrence said.
You're a good man.
I
hope I'm a good man.
Third game of the night is our guy Peyton Peterson, and he was at the Trinity Prosper game, and it was an entertaining game. I did get a chance to look at the highlights. Let's hear what Peyton had to say.
We opened the 2022 Texas high school football season on Thursday out at Pennington Field as the Trinity Trojans hosted the Prosper Eagles in what would turn out to be one of the best games of the week in the entire DFW area. As we opened it off with Gary Maddox, who got things going early with a short run up the middle to give Trinity the 7-0 lead. That didn't last long, however, as Prosper's Harrison Rosar connected with Braden Reimer in stride on the following possession to tie things up at 7. From there, both defenses were locked down the rest of the first half as we rolled into halftime, still knotted up at 7. But then it led to the third quarter as the gates were basically unleashed in the third as Trinity's quarterback Ethan Williams busted it out around the outside to give the Trojans the go-ahead touchdown that would soon lead to a missed point after, which would cost them later on in the game, as on the following possession, Prentice Sanders, who took full control in the second half, took it up the middle for the touchdown and to give Prosper their first lead of the night. And Prosper did not let go as they added another field goal to end the third quarter and relied on their phenomenal defense in the fourth to hold on to the 17-13 win over Trinity to open the season. We spoke with Prosper's athlete, Prentice Sanders, after the game.
Peyton Peterson, FridayNightGlory.com, here with Prentice Sanders after a thrilling win over Trinity, 17-13. Man, you absolutely exploded in the second half. What was going for you? What was working?
I knew I had to change the momentum of the game, and I trusted in my own line, so that's what I did. And it worked, you know what I'm saying? So
you guys had multiple turnovers on offense. Obviously, you guys are going to want to fix that in the next couple of weeks. But how are you guys able to fight through the adversity and keep going and be able to keep it on the pedal and pull out the win today?
Yeah, we just trusted in God, and we knew that He'll help us throughout the game. And O-line, that's all.
Terrence, did you get a chance to look at the Trinity versus Prosper game?
I seen the highlights from that game too. I picked Prosper to go. Been out there last season, kind of like that. What I seen, and they boys stick together. They grounded out. I know Trinity is not nothing to just sleep on, but I knew that was going to be a good one, and I actually had picked them in our weekly picks there to win. So hopefully I get to see them. I'm sure I'll see them somewhere down the road, Trinity or Prosper.
Quincy, did you get a chance?
I had a chance to look up the highlights from the game. I mean, it looked like a physical game. Trinity obviously like to run the ball a lot. So, I mean, they're really trying to mash the ball down the field. So, and also offensively for Prosper, they're throwing the ball a lot. So it's kind of a tale of two different teams. You had more of an offensive heavy team or a pass heavy team versus a run heavy team. So.
When you watch the highlights and see the final score, to me, it seemed like it was a higher scoring game just by the highlights, but it really wasn't that high scoring of a game, especially in today's football. I mean, what was it? 17-13?
24-17, was it?
Yeah. Okay.
No, it was 17-13.
17-13?
Yeah.
I mean, and there were a lot of offensive highlights in a fairly low scoring game.
Yeah, it's been a lot of defense being played to start this season out.
That's what stood out to me. I mean, but
Even that, I forgot to mention Taylor Starling. He had 2 picks in that South Oak Cliff game. So coming out, he set the tone. It went back, he set the tone again. So Taylor Starling's Colorado commit safety. He kind of set the tone with that Burr defense. So they're still stout out there. Secondary's nice. Both sides.
well, that was a great report, Peyton. We appreciate it. Game 4, the game I was at, Royce City versus Grand Prairie. This is Royce City. First game as a 6A school. Grand Prairie's been 6A as long as there's been 6A. I would say I expected Royce City to win, but I didn't expect 58-0. Royce City ran the ball. They short passes, medium passes, long passes. They have a ton of skill position guys. They had 12 people rush the ball. They had 8 people catch a pass. Special teams, they downed a ball inside the 1 on a punt, had a safety. I mean, Royce City had it going on that night, to say the least. Did you guys get a chance to look at those highlights?
I didn't, but I did see that final score. And then when you told me that, I was like, whoa, the move up to 6A, like we were saying, doesn't mean anything. That just means growth and population is growing in Royce City because, we grew up, Randy, it's just fields and highways. And now
Farms.
Royce City, Rockwall. Wouldn't be surprised if in the future a new high school come out that way somewhere.
I saw that obviously Royce City dominated the game. They had 600 plus yards of offense. And the defense played real well, holding Grand Prairie to just 151 yards of total offense. So, that was basically that's how the game panned out. Royce City just controlled from beginning to end.
Yeah, and the way it started, it looked like Grand Prairie was going to be able to move the ball when the game started. But then it never materialized. It's like they went backwards. Like the first couple series, it looked like they were moving the ball. They even, I believe it was in the first quarter, got inside the 10-yard line, but couldn't get it in. And then once in Royce City, it wasn't like a bunch of points at the beginning of the game, or they scored a bunch of points at the end of the game. They were just like chomping 21 off here and 14 there. And it's the entire game. It was domination. I was really impressed. And I talked to the quarterback, Kenneth Spring, and tight end Nicholas Weaver. This was a good game, but what do they need to improve? What do they need to do to keep improving throughout the season? Here's what they had to say. Randy Edwards, Friday Night Glory out here at Royce City. The Bulldogs come away with a 58-0 win over Grand Prairie to open the season. I'm here with quarterback Kenneth Spring. How's it feel to come out here to the first game, open up the season, it's 58-0 win?
It feels amazing. It feels good to prove some of those people wrong, thinking we're not going to be able to, not going to show out, not going to do very good, but to come out and put up the score we did, it feels amazing. The team folded, came together. It's a great feeling right now.
We started off confident. We came out here confident. We played good. We had Sam Mitchell out here. The offensive line was doing phenomenal out there, getting straight blocks, open gaps for Sam. Everyone's going crazy tonight, getting the ball, getting yards. Defense is doing good. We just played lights out tonight.
It seemed like y'all spread the ball around a lot, too. Talk about that a little bit.
When we spread the ball out, we have chances to run upfield for that. The more we spread it out, the further we get downfield, easier running backs, open gaps. They can't guard everything.
Game 5, Quincy, Aledo versus Parrish. I would say one of the upsets of the weekend. I don't know if Terrence, would you agree?
Yeah, I was kind of on the fence with that when I was doing the weekly picks. I'm going to go with Parrish. They ball hard. I got a friend that has a son out there. He always reminds me, you never came to see us. You never came to see us, because we always on this end. But I was a little surprised, I'd say. But knowing Aledo, they're a good powerhouse. They 10 championships plus. They pedigree is good, but every dog has their days, and maybe they just have to turn a leaf and bounce back. But Parrish, they've been there. State champion in taps doesn't mean anything. Big defensive line. I think Quincy was out there. He got a taste of it. So I know he's seen some real live action.
Well, when we were all talking yesterday about taps, the last 10 years has just consistently got better.
Yeah.
better and better. And now they're beating some of the top teams like Alito.
Yeah. It's like an out-of-town Cali team coming to Texas. It's just Taps in Texas coming to Texas.
Right.
In your backyard.
Right. And I don't see it changing. I mean,
No.
These boys will
Yeah, I mean, kind of like you fellas said, I mean, Alito came in the heavy favorite. I mean, even myself, I mean, like you said, Terrence, a team that has 10 plus state championships, I mean, they just have a pedigree of winning football games. But then also you look at Parrish, they too, they've been doing a good job the past couple of years. Like you said, they're in TAPS, but they've been winning championships as well. I think, I want to say the last 3 years they did. So that's just a program that's been progressing each year. And like I said, with the front seven from Parrish was really the thing I was most impressed by when you looked at the interior on the offensive line as well as the D line. I mean, they had great size. So, I mean, these guys looked like they were freshmen in college already, you know what I mean? So, and even so for Alito, they also had good size as well. So it was a decent matchup in the trenches, but I definitely don't think Alito knew exactly what they were getting into as far as the matchup they would have, as far as the actual size of the players when they saw them on the actual game field. So, but actually leading up into the game, I'll talk about the Alito offense a little bit. They look pretty solid overall. They were led by a first-year starter, quarterback Haas Haney, excuse me. They were able to go on. Yeah, they were able to go on a lot of long drives. But they just had a hard time punching it in the red zone. I think a lot of that had to do with the size, the length, and the speed of that interior seven, like I said, and then just the defense overall. Now I'll touch on the Alito defense. They had a very solid defense as well, very opportunistic. They gave up a lot of yards in the run game, and they gave up about 216 in the air. But like I said, they were very opportunistic, getting 3 turnovers in the game. And I believe they also got a fumble recovery. So those turnovers were able to help them a lot. It was more like a bend but don't break type defense. And they only gave up a total of 24 points. And all right, now I'll flip over and touch on the Parrish offense. They were led by Sawyer Anderson. He had 216 yards, 3 touchdowns. He also had the 3 interceptions, but like I said, he had the 3 touchdowns. And outside the interceptions, he played really well. And then another key player that I think was really the catalyst of that offense was T touched on him earlier, Cedric Mays. He had 18 carries for 99 yards. And also in the pass game, he was the leading receiver. He had 4 carries for 46 yards and a touchdown. So, I mean, he was really the catalyst. When they needed to play, I mean, he was the cat that they gave the ball to, and he was making plays out there. I mean, he was giving that Alito defense everything they could handle. Yeah. And also in the past game, a guy that made a lot of key catches within the game. He made a lot of tough catches, third down catches that they needed to convert. Was a guy named Hutch Crow. He went for 3 for 23. It wasn't a lot of yards, but it's the plays that he did catch balls. It was key plays, like I'm saying. They need to convert on third down to get a first down to keep the chains moving. And he was able to do that. And then as far as Parrish's defense, like I said, that front seven, I mean, they had defensive ends, 6'2", 220 on both sides. Interior had good size. Linebackers were big, can move sideline to sideline. But a key player that they had was Daniel Demery, who's also he's an Ole Miss commit. He's a free safety. He had 7 tackles, 2 interceptions, a forced fumble in the game-sealing pass breakup. So he was all over the place. And just to touch on Alito, I missed this on the defensive side. I said they were getting a lot of turnovers. And the 2 cornerbacks, it was Jaden Allen, who's a University of Texas commit. He had an interception. And then the other corner, Chris Johnson, he had an interception as well. So I think the DBs and Alito's, as far as Alito's defense, those are really the guys that help them when they needed a big play and try to stay in the game. Those were the guys that were making plays. So that's kind of a synopsis, I guess, the game in a nutshell.
I haven't been to the Blue Field in a few years. I like going to games out there.
Yeah, it's a nice environment for sure.
for sure.
Definitely enjoyed it.
Well, speaking of teams, in another game, up and coming, Erica did that Lake Travis at Martin game. And, she couldn't do video because of ESPN having the.
Okay, I got you. Yeah, that game was on ESPN.
But Martin defeating Lake Travis, that's a statement win right there to start the season.
Oh yeah, and then just the way they beat them. I mean, they pretty much handled them. It was a dominating win from start to finish. So that was definitely good for Martin.
Well, let's move on to the next segment. I know this is one that's important to you, Quincy, is the Quarterback Ranch Friday Night Glory Players of the Week. And I'll let you do the honors here, Quincy, and go ahead and announce the winners this week.
All right, for our quarterback of the week, I picked Bryce Morton from Richland High School. He went 20 for 30 for 431 yards and 5 passing touchdowns, and he also had a 9-yard rushing TD. So he had 6 total touchdowns to help lead his team to a win. For our non-quarterback offensive player of the week would be Lonnie Johnson, a wide receiver from Keller Timber Creek. He's actually a SMU commit. He committed over the summer. He had 133 all-purpose yards and 4 touchdowns to help lead his team to a win. Then the defensive MVP, I touched on this guy earlier from my game, Daniel Demery from Parrish. He had 7 tackles, 2 interceptions, forced fumble, and the game-sealing pass breakup. So those are your Quarterback Ranch Friday Night Glory players of the week for week 1.
Well, congratulations. And I think y'all said they'll be getting some Quarterback Ranch paraphernalia here.
Oh, yeah. We'll send some gear out to him here soon. We'll get in contact with him and get him some gear.
All right. Well, congratulations to all. Terrence and I need to get some Quarterback Ranch gear.
I was just about to remind you.
Sure. Just let me know what size y'all need. We'll get y'all some shirts and some.
So,
all right.
So what games y'all looking at this week before we get out of here?
And I know these were 2 teams that we touched on earlier that we actually just talked about. But I saw South Oak Cliff is playing Lancaster, which I think that'll be a really good game. And then Lido will be playing Geyer, so that'll be another big game for them. So I think those would be two of the more important games in the area.
I'm looking to go up to Broswell and Keller Foster Ridge, which should be a good one. Broswell looking like they're going to be a dark horse for me. They won last week. I'm still doing my homework. Got some people up there I know hey, need to check us out. So, hey, we're going to make it happen, and hopefully I have a good night. And another game I got my eye on, which I know I ain't going to say cakewalk, but it might be because Highland Park's playing Louisville. And, Coach Randy Allen's going for most wins. He'll be tied for second, I think, if he get this win here. So he's still up there kicking, trying to, make some things happen. So we'll see how that game goes. But I'm looking forward to the Broswell and Keller Foster Ridge.
Well, I think that Highland Park, Louisville will be interesting. Erica and one of our new guys, Armando, will be out there. I think that looks like an interesting game. And then you got my Newman Smith Trojans playing crosstown rival Creekview, and our guy Kenny will be there. So
there you go.
Southlake and Marcus, that's an
yeah,
too.
That's gonna be a good one too.
Oh yeah, that'll be a good one.
And then we got Parker's former high schools, Parker's alumni of Lake Ridge, Peyton's alumni of Boswell, and also he's their
play-by-play guy.
Color guy, I guess.
Color guy? Yeah, he's a
He's a play-by-play player.
Oh, he's color commentary, yeah.
Anyway, so they're playing this week. And I know Parker will be there, and Peyton will be announcing. So anyway, I hadn't picked my game yet, but it looks like a good week of football again.
Yes, a lot of them out there.
All right. Well, until next week, you guys have a good football weekend.
Yes,
You
sir.
too.
You
We'll
too.
see you soon, Harold. Have a good one out there, Quincy.
All right. You too, T.
Good
All right,
games.
Randy.